A lot of hot seats out there, guys. A lot of seats are warming up. A lot of coaching searches going on, but we may have more coaching searches in the immediate future. What's happening with Chip Kelly at UCLA, you might ask? Well, I told you the other night, BruinReportOnline.com reporting via multiple sources that Kelly is likely out after the USC game. Now, that's not finalized. It strongly looks like that's going to be the case. If he loses this next game, they play USC this Saturday, he will have a 33-34 record at UCLA. My feeling on this, as I listen to some of the dialogue out there, is that there may be a warped sense of what UCLA football is and could be. And I think folks are making an NIL mistake here. Folks are looking at NIL and they're saying Chip Kelly has not invigorated the donor class to contribute in the way of NIL enough. And I'm not necessarily pushing back on that part. I think there is a very, very warped sense of what tapping into your NIL potential is. So I think there's an idea that people have, because NIL is still new, that if you fire Chip Kelly and let's say you brought in Lane Kiffin or Jonathan Smith or Jed Fish, whoever you want to go after, you brought your ideal candidate in, they agree to the job, and they all of a sudden get more NIL infusion. The misnomer is that elevates you above the pack to a certain extent. It elevates you 20%, 30%, 40% above the pack. You're not elevating above the pack. The pack also is getting NIL infusion. You're about to go play in the Big Ten. The Pac-12's done. You're going to play in the Big Ten. They play the NIL game already. You're playing NIL just to catch up to them. Now, you may say, well, Josh, isn't that what you want to do? Yes, it is. What I'm asking is, who do you think you are as UCLA? I don't ask that sarcastically. I ask it very literally. Who do you think you are? Do you think that you are 10 wins per year? Do you think that's the caliber program you are? I've got bad news for you if that's what you think. That is not what you are. That's not what you will be, because you are not using NIL to separate and go above the pack. You're using NIL just to keep up. And so what I'm saying is that infusion of NIL money, once you get to this new home of yours, will be used just to maintain your current status. Your current status, what would you say, Jesse? Do they average about 7 wins a year, something like that? I mean, that's their current status out there. Could be 8, could be 6. My point is, and I really wonder, who do you think you are? Who does UCLA football think it is? Next up, Billy Napier at Florida. The other day, I didn't say anything wrong. I said what I believe to be true and still believe to be true, and that is his fate is attached to next year and this upcoming recruiting cycle. Some people took that to mean I was putting Napier on the hot seat. I'm not doing that. You just heard the wrong part of the clip. So, A, we should be more careful with how we clip videos, I guess. That's on us. B, I'm not saying that. I think he's safe. I don't think Billy Napier is going anywhere. And I would encourage you guys, go to 247sports.com. There was a nice collective effort today to put together the latest that our staff has heard in regards to Billy Napier, a number of other guys. And one of the welcome portions of that piece that I read was the thinking around Gainesville is Billy Napier will be pushed or push himself to relinquish play calling duties, hire a play calling offensive coordinator, and also do away with having 2 offensive line coaches and actually hire a special teams coordinator. That alone would be a welcome couple of changes for Florida football. Like I said, I think he's got at least 1 year left, and I think it would be very, very foolish to suggest otherwise or to actually do otherwise. They are 5-5 right now. They've got to pull an upset in one of these last 2 weeks to make a bowl game. I think they'll be competitive in both games. They've got Missouri this week. I got more on that game later, actually. And they got Florida State at home at the end of the year. They sold that game out. I don't think this is a dead and buried team as of yet. I don't believe that. And I think Napier's safe for at least 1 more year. I do not think Dana Holgorsen is safe at Houston. I reached out to some folks on this today. I think he's coaching for his job the next 2 weeks. They are 4-6 right now. They got Oklahoma State and then at Central Florida to end the year. Their recruiting class is currently 101st in the country. They're right next to Eastern Michigan. Houston's in the Big 12 now. They are a Power 5 team. You can never suck that bad recruiting in Houston. You just can't. It's inexcusable. And so there's a lot of thinking. I think he's got about a $15 million buyout. There is some thinking, including this past offseason, by Dana Holgorsen himself, that he's got too big a buyout. Not when you got the kind of billionaires they do in Houston. You don't have too big a buyout. And one in particular, I think you guys know who I'm talking about down there. So I do not think the buyout will be a sticking point. That's been echoed to me in the past couple of hours. I think he's coaching for his job. I took that to mean they need to make a bowl or he's gone. That's how it loosely translated in my mind. So let's watch that closely, because that, if it came open, would be a pretty underrated and desirable job. Houston, stop thinking about them as a G5. That is a Power 5. That's a Big 12 program now. Dave Aranda at Baylor, 3-7. My best intel today is he needs to avoid disaster over the final 2 games, and those 2 games are at TCU and West Virginia. I don't necessarily think he has to win them. Just don't have things totally and utterly implode. And if you can parlay that with his agreement to make big changes coaching staff-wise, even though they're 3-7, I think my best feel right now is Dave Aranda can buy himself another season. I don't think that's final. I don't think he's totally safe. Nothing like that. This stuff can change at the drop of a hat. But as we head into the second to last week of the season, right now, kind of 60-40, 65-35, I would lean Aranda maintaining his job. I'll tell you a name that keeps getting brought up to me, and I agree with it, and that's Barry Odom. Not hot seat. Like, Barry Odom's out at UNLV right now, just tearing it up, man. This is a guy who has SEC head coaching experience, got coordinator experience, been around a long time, went out to UNLV. All they're doing right now is playing at a level that has them on track to maybe even host the Mountain West Championship game. UNLV is not supposed to be playing for the Mountain West Championship. Okay, the paper, that this game's played on in spring and summer said UNLV kind of a little bit of an afterthought this year. No, Odom went out there, just inverted them overnight, doing a heck of a job, very highly respected. I would keep my eye on him for a number of these programs, including, in case you didn't pick up what I was putting down, some jobs that haven't opened yet. Barry Odom is a name I think probably administrators and football people are higher on than just general fans, because all you probably remember is, well, he was fired as a head coach at Missouri, and then last year the defense at Arkansas wasn't all that great, and that's kind of what you remember, and I'm just telling you there's a lot more to it than that. So I'm keeping an eye on Barry Odom, and my boy John Summerall down at Troy I'm keeping a close eye on as well. Just some names that we have hitched our wagon to here at Pate State. We don't have an opening, of course, but if we did, those are 2 calls I would make.